How do you feel about spoiling the ending of a book you just read? Have you ever read a book that you knew the ending before you got there? Do you think that it made the book better having known it? Have you reread a book and gotten a different opinion because you had already read it? All those questions depend on what book you're talking about, and today, I'm going to talk about this fine specimen right here. This is the Death Note supplementary novel, Another Note, the Los Angeles BB Murder Cases. And before I say anything else, I recommend it. It's like 9 out of 10. It's a serial killer novel. It's a very tight puzzle. It was not written by the original author of Death Note. It was actually written by NISIOISON. NISIOISON is a very good writer. I'm not saying that to insult Tsugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata or anything. You can see back there, Bakemonogatari. I am a fan of NISIOISON, and they are a good author. I think it's really cool to see the Japanese entertainment industry bringing different creatives together so that they can sort of cross-collaborate and make more content about good ideas and expand on things. This particular book is some backstory to Death Note, which I'm just going to assume that you're familiar with the Death Note anime at this point. It's like 20 years old at this point, and it's one of the most famous anime ever. That anime, I would definitely be comfortable telling people about the various major twists, such as about L eating it and dying. There is nothing that I feel comfortable saying about the contents of this book. I'll say it's a lovely hardcover book. Ooh, look at this. It fits, it feels good in your hand. You've got this 3/4 jacket, dust jacket. There are illustrations in here, and well, what else can I say without ruining anything? How do I analyze a story? I can talk about the characters. I can tell you that this is about Elle and Naomi, but years before the Kira case, when they first got to know each other working the Los Angeles BB murder cases, which is about a serial killing going on in Los Angeles. That caught Elle's attention. So the story is about this one crime that I don't want to detail. And it gives some details about Elle's backstory, because that's kind of the point of the novel. It is just a standalone piece to sell to collectors so they can have more Death Note, right? But you get a bit of information about Whammy's house, and you can learn some interesting stuff about the fact that the characters like Nier and Mello are attempted clones, basically, of Elle. It's Whammy trying to make another super detective, but even that, you basically knew from the anime and the original manga. In a lot of ways, this is just a very clean mystery. And it is a serial killer story. You know, multiple people do get killed to create the mystery. It's got some vibes like the Riddler and Batman, to make a comparison, because what is pretty much immediately obvious, stated by the narrator, who there is a narrator that I wouldn't call unreliable, even though most people just assume non-omniscient narrators are unreliable. I would say that it is a biased narrator because it is written by Mello after the fact, documenting what happened here for... You know, it says in the beginning that it's like supposed to be given to a particular person. I think the implication is that the manuscript was published against their wishes. Whatever. An interesting contrivance. There is a character in the story that can provide context and pacing and fill in gaps about things like why is Naomi on leave? Not super duper critical. That's not something that will ruin the story, but it's at the right spot for the pacing and the revelations to give the exact preconceptions and preparation that the reader is supposed to have at every given moment. I want to give this book a lot of credit for being an incredibly cleanly built murder mystery. It almost felt like fractal mysteries, and this book is certainly worth studying on a craft level if you like murder mysteries, because it seemed like there was always one overarching question, that kept getting broken down into layer after layer after layer of mysteries that had to be solved by solving the smaller mysteries. And it feels like it almost got down to the level of every sentence was solving the mystery of the previous sentence at times, which is incredibly impressive in my opinion. It's more than what I pulled off in any of my attempts to ever write a murder mystery like this. Now that said, that does imply that this is a genre piece of fiction. There's no real literary aspirations to it, and for the same reason that I can't tell you what's in the book, really, I don't think you can reread this book. I think once you know everything that is being teased and hinted at and everything that gets revealed later, you probably can't reread that, which sort of is a flaw of the genre, I would say, but it's also why the genre can be good. And detective stories like this, there's what, 10 million of them? You can go your entire life reading nonstop and you'll never run out of detective stories. So go buy another one, support the industry, right? Now, just to fill time, because this will be too short of a video if I only say, hey, it's a great book, you should go buy it. I'm going to make a comparison to a book that I would spoil for most readers. Last year, I read Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, and that is a book with literary aspirations, but it kind of beats you over the head with despair, violence, horrific brutality, etc., etc. And most people I know who are like casual readers and need the book recommended to them, which, by the way, Blood Meridian is like a 10 out of 10 book. It's go find someone else who has made a video about it. It's really good. But most people who need Blood Meridian recommended to them, I find that they falter at the halfway point going, where is this going? Why is this the 7th time that the desert has been described as they're starving and dying of dehydration and killing Indians? What is the point of this book? And by being told where the book is going, what the ending is, what the climax is, what is satisfying about it, they're then more likely to actually push through and finish it and, set aside some of their internal revulsion at the contents of the book. And therefore, spoiling them improves their ability to enjoy the book. While you could say that there is revolting things in this book because it doesn't skimp on the gore of what, the corpses get mutilated. That's not really a spoiler. And one of them is a kid, and that's revolting. And some people may stop right there. I would say, though, that because it is just such a cleanly progressing mystery like clockwork, that you never need to wonder where is it going or how is it going to be solved or anything like that. There is no spot in this book where someone might falter and stop. You could probably even sit down and read it in one sitting if you wanted to. It's only 170 pages, and we're not talking about reading Ulysses or something here. It's a piece of genre fiction. Just enjoy it. So this has been my somewhat meandering recommendation of a book that I can't really tell you what's in it, because if I do, you won't be able to enjoy it quite right. Another note, the Los Angeles BB murder cases by NISIOISON. Yes, there are tie-ins to the Shinigamis. It's a Death Note series. Yeah, come on. You should know that going in, but I highly recommend it. Now, if you're still listening, I want to know if you have a recommendation on what you think is the cleanest progressing murder mystery that you can think of. Drop it down in the comments below, and I'll give them a look and keep going through them so I can start making the comparisons between them. And don't say The Big Sleep. Drop a sub, follow me on Twitter, buy my books, all that stuff. Cheers.